Hello and welcome to the new Warno patch. Let's start with the big thing. There's a new map. It has a 3v3 mode, a 1v1 mode, and a 10v10 mode. It's called Kreide. It's a really interesting one. You've got lots of steps in elevation here. I believe this is supposed to be a certain cliff line in Germany. As you can see, there's a cool bridge here and a town, presumably called Kreide. There is a 1v1 cut which focuses on this part of the map, but usually it's supposed to be played as a 3v3. Really cool map. You got a nice big town here with a mix of high-rise and urban buildings, and then over here you've got various inclines, so sharp inclines, and there are ways to get down. You don't have to use the roads. You can use this, for example. It's a really interesting map. I do have a couple games. If you remember, you'll already have access to it. A game of Lathans and Tortecue on this map. And yeah, you can fight around this zone, which is present in the 1v1 version as well. Basically, this would be the red spawn. This would be the blue spawn. Or you can view it as a 3v3 or a 10v10, which is probably how most of you will play it. This is the red side here. And then you've got the blue side over here. And yeah, you're fighting over this dip here where there's some towns, etc. The cliff faces are really interesting. This map's basically like nothing that we already have because it leads to situations where you can be fighting here and then one guy comes over the cliff and starts shooting down into the town and then he can reverse out there quite quickly. So you gotta pay attention to these cliffs because a lot can happen over there. So that's the map. Really cool map. And I'm going to be going through the balance changes one at a time, first with the general ones and then with the divisions. This took me absolutely ages to do the prep work for, and I don't know how long this video is going to be. So if you do appreciate it, please do tell me. That's the main thing. And if you want to join as a generous channel joiner, you can. They're the ones subsidizing these videos for everybody else. If you don't want to do that, please just like the video, it's free. So, this is the big one. The Dutch 4E division now gets the iHawk. So what does that mean? It means there's absolutely no reason for you to vote for Nemesis 4.1 anymore, but that really helps this division. We'll go through it division by division later, but this needs saying now because it's a highlight. This division is really strong, but it has no long-range anti-air until now. The main issue with the div, so you get loads of tanks, great. Loads of tanks. The issue is, right, this one, it's got 18 front armor, which means it can resist a 30 AP missile. All of the other ones have 16 armor, which means they die in one hit to a 30 AP missile. So, if we take a look at the Su-22 anti-tank plane, every single anti-tank plane in the game, apart from one, the T-8M, has a 30 AP missile. 30, that's an Apache Buccaneer. 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30. So, if you're running a division that only has tanks with 16 front armor, you're going to have a big problem. The issue is, yeah, before it didn't have any long-range AA, right? These guys, they don't shoot so far. They've only got the AIM-9 Ligma. But now, it's got the iHawk. So with 3 iHawks, this division has gone from being pretty bad to actually being really good, because the iHawk is pretty decent. It's got a really nice anti-aircraft range, and that makes it very powerful against bad guys who are trying to kill your tanks. Right? So that's the first change, big change. The next one, there have been some changes with vision, which I can't show you, so I just have to describe it. Basically, they've started working on the vision recon system. Buildings have a stealth multiplier, as do forests. They've lowered the building stealth multiplier from 3.5 to 3 to make it slightly easier to see enemy infantry in buildings. However, they've raised the forest multiplier from 2.5 to 3 in order to unify them. So forests are actually now slightly stealthier than they used to be, which I really don't agree with. But I really like the changes to the buildings. This is a work in progress. It's going to keep changing over time. You will notice this in your games. It's the sort of thing that it's basically impossible to get right first time. So they've released it. We'll have a look. We'll see what's going on. The other thing they've done is they've made all recon optics better. So you can't see this on the stat card either, but good optics now have an optical power of 150, right? So it should, this tooltip is now wrong. Bad is now 0.5 times, or 50. Mediocre is, oh no, hang on. Interesting. Yeah, this tooltip is wrong. Bad has a spotting power of 50, up from 42.45. I'm just reading my notes here. Mediocre, it's gone down a little bit from 70.75 to 70. Normal has gone from 90.9 to 90, so that's gone down a bit as well. But good, very good, and exceptional have got better. So good has gone to 150 from 130.35. Very good has gone up to 200 from 193.02. And excellent has gone up to 250 from 233.475. So what does this mean? TLDR, you're going to find it easier to spot units in buildings. You're going to find it harder to spot units in forests. But if you have Recon, it'll probably be the same at spotting units in forests, and it'll be even better at spotting units in buildings. But if you're pushing a forest without Recon, it's now going to be harder than it was before. Swings and roundabouts, it's a work in progress, right? Grenade launchers also got nerfed. I don't think this is described on the stat card either. 40mm and 30mm grenade launchers got nerfed. Basically, the 40mm grenade launcher, the radius of the damage, right, has gone from 40 meters to 30 meters. The suppression's gone down from 80 to 40. That is described on the stat card. And the suppression damage radius has gone from 50 to 40 meters. It will also no longer shoot at vehicles with 4 armor or above, or it might be 5 armor or above. Either way, you won't see these things gunning on tanks and just immediately suppressing them anymore. So that's a good change. They also changed the 30mm with similar values. I won't bother reading it out, mainly because I forgot to write it down in my notes. There has been another huge change. 10v10 players will absolutely love this change. Grads are now 1 per card. And every division that had less than 1 card of grads now gets 2 cards of grads. So you still get your 2 grads, but they take up 2 cards. And if you were playing the Polish square before in 10v10 and bringing 6 grads, you can now only bring 4, right? So that is a nerf, right? They have been nerfed. To be honest, before they were bringing 8 grads, right? Because these roll 2 per card, they're now 1 per card. So that's a big nerf to PACT MLRS spam in 10v10, which I'm sure about 50% of you will be really happy about, and the other 50% will be really upset about. I've been playing a lot of 10v10 recently, and that really, really was a problem. That was a huge problem. Whether or not you want to admit to it, it is what it is. So they fixed that. This does not apply to the baby grads or half grads, which you find in airborne divisions, right? This is still 2 per card. For some reason, it's been vet locked. We'll see if that stays like that. And it also doesn't apply to the Lars 2 on Germany, because that one's not very good, right? For some reason, it's been vet locked, but yeah, you can still get your 4 Lars 2. The Lars 2 is really not very good, so being able to bring 4 is not a problem. So that's a huge change. All artillery splash has changed, so all artillery now does more suppression, and the splash radius has gone up. It doing more suppression, I don't really agree with. I think the issue with artillery is it's very, very, very inconsistent. You just miss constantly, and then you hit them once, and poof, you know, they're gone, right? That is especially true for 105mm shells and so on. So like this, it says, you know, 1.88 damage, which is good, but it rarely hits. It will land right next to it and it'll do nothing. So they've increased the suppression, which I don't think it deals with the issue, but they've also expanded the radius a little bit. Not a huge amount, but a tiny little bit. So we're getting there, slowly but surely, hopefully, right? I can't speak to it, they might not do it. I would like to see them expand the radius a lot, to tell you the truth. Not 5 meters, as I believe this has increased by 5 meters. And the 120mm mortar actually had its radius go down by a couple meters, which is a shame. But all the other ones had their radius go up by a few meters, and so you'll see a slight improvement in the effectiveness of tube artillery. There's also been an increase in availability on 105mm towed guns. So this used to be like 421, now it's 432. So these will become a little bit more useful, right? Now you can bring two of them at 2 vet, which is great. Towed AA can no longer be shot by ATGMs. So we all remember the Javelin LML, right? This thing could get, before this patch, could get shot at by ATGMs, which made it kind of useless, really, to tell you the truth. And the same is true for, you know, all of the towed ZU-23, like so. Something like this used to be shot at by ATGMs, and now it won't be targeted by ATGMs. So it makes them a bit more useful, like anti-tank guns used to be targeted by ATGMs, and they fixed that. Now they've done that with towed guns as well. Other big changes, small arms make more noise apart from the DMRs. So when a unit starts shooting in a building, like a Jaeger, you probably, apart from the DMR, if this Jaeger starts shooting, it will be spotted more easily by anything. Because the small arms now do more noise, which is your ability to be spotted if you're in LOS. It's like negative stealth. Noise is negative stealth. It works exactly how you'd think it would work, basically. Other general changes. The cluster mortar got nerfed. It's probably worth bringing that up at this point. I know we'll go through it division by division. Basically, the reload time was doubled from 30 to 60 seconds. So that should help bring this unit a little bit into line. I still believe that further changes are required, but they're going for incremental changes rather than just blasting a unit. As you know, things used to happen where all of a sudden a unit would become useless, basically for the next 3 months. Doesn't work that way anymore. So, an incremental change, a limited change. But this unit is absolutely broken, so it's good that they've done that. In terms of divisions which have been most affected, we will go through it division by division, and the timestamps are all in the description. 4th Dutch got the iHawk and some general price buffs. 16th Belgium got a second card of Minstrels, that's a big one. Berlin Red got some really big buffs, that's a really good one. MBAD got some really good buffs, maybe it's not MBAD anymore, maybe it can be MNAD. And 9th Panzer Division was slightly nerfed. Basically, I'm spoiling it, but this thing had it, because it was coming in at 1 vet for basically no reason, and now it's coming in at no vet, and so it will reload slower. It is an extremely, extremely powerful tool, and this is just a little nerf, little incremental nerf, to push it on the right way. 4th Polish got buffed, 4th UK got some small buffs. 9th US has changed a lot, generally because the grenade launchers, right, all those AGL vehicles, these aren't as oppressive anymore. They're not as ridiculous as they were before. I have to make an apology about that, actually. I made a video talking about fire support options, and I said the grenade launchers were bad, and then they changed them, and now they're good. But it could be argued that they were good before, and I just hadn't updated my brain. Basically, grenade launchers were pretty broken, and now they're a little bit less broken. I still think they're very, very strong. But yeah, the grenade launchers got worse, but a lot of the other things in 9th US got better. And there have been limited nerfs to 76Y and 56Y in terms of, like, ridiculous plane availabilities, things like that. So that's it for the general overview, and we'll now go through it division by division. Like I said, if you appreciate this content, please like the video. It took me ages to do the prep work for this. I basically got this massive, I don't know if you can see it, but I've got like 7 pages of notes here, which I've been, I had to make all these, right, patch notes. Anyway, so let's have a look. So let's start with NATO. In general, grenade launchers have been nerfed, right? 40mm grenade launchers, they've been nerfed. As I spoke about, I read out the changes. The radius of the damage has gone down, which means that you'll get less near misses, and that means that overall they'll do less damage. And the suppression's gone down from 80 to 40. 80 was a bit ridiculous, to be honest. And they can no longer target vehicles above 4 armor, I believe. The other big change to NATO in general, before we get into it division by division, is the M270 had its minimum range reduced and its maximum range reduced. So basically, I believe it used to be 40k or 38k, it's now 32k, which means that it won't you know, the dispersion circle will be larger. As it compares to the Smirch? Okay, Smirch is still 52k. The dispersion circle will be larger at the same range, which could be seen as a nerf, but the minimum range went down from 8,841 to 2,000 meters. You'll probably remember, well, I don't know how often you use this thing, right? But let's say we go on the new 1v1 Kreide, right? I believe there's also a new chemical duel. Let's have a look. Yes, this is different. This is very different. So instead of, oh, I should have put this in the general changes. There's also a new, I'll just edit it. And guess what? There's also a new chemical duel. So I don't know if this is coming into ranked or what, but basically now blue starts on this side and red starts in the opposite corner. And you're actually fighting over the chemical rather than having this kind of shortcut thing here. They've increased the size of the map. I believe it used to start about here and about here, and now it's a lot bigger. Yeah, it's really cool. I like it a lot. I think it's really cool. So I haven't played on it yet, but looking at it, it looks really cool. As you can see, middle now has 4 zones. We'll see if it's balanced, right? But yeah, that's the new chemical duel. So, where were we? Oh yeah, I was going to show you the M270. Where are we? Who's got my M270? Yes, this will be it. So it used to be that you just couldn't shoot ever in a million years, but now you can
at your orders, Captain.
Shoot at 2,000 meters minimum range, right? It used to be that you couldn't shoot until 8,000 meters, which was actually really annoying because it meant that, like on a lot of 1v1 versions, this is actually quite a big map. You just couldn't shoot half the map. You had to slam your thing all the way back in the corner and hope it could fire. And if the enemy pushed you enough, you just couldn't fire. So that solves that problem. I'm really happy about it. I don't know if it changed the Smirch. I didn't check. So, NATO changes. Those are the big NATO changes. Now we'll go to it division by division. So, first one is 3rd Armoured. Oh yeah, there's another big one. All paladins had their range reduced, which means that at the same range, they will have a wider dispersion circle. But the artillery had its splash radius of individual shells increased. So I don't know if you'll actually notice a difference. But yeah, the range went down from it was like 24k to 18k, which means that the dispersion circle at the same range will be smaller. You probably won't notice except in like 10v10s and stuff. And really, you shouldn't be firing your paladins from the back of the map anyway. You should be bringing them up so you can get really effective dispersion circles, basically. And yeah, the other big and the M270 obviously affects 3rd Armoured a lot. They didn't get grenade launchers, and mortar splash increased as well. But apart from that, 3rd US Armoured, not many changes. 8th Infantry has had a lot more changes. So the M1 Abrams went from 5 availability at no vet, which you should never be bringing it at no vet. Then it was 3, then it was 2. Now it's 6, 4, 2. So it's still 2 at 2 vet, but you can get 4 of them at 1 vet, which is very important, right? I still think this is a bit expensive, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. The M60A3 also got an availability buff, so it went from 742 to 753. So now you get 5 at 1 vet as opposed to 4, which makes a lot of sense because if you compare this to 5 Easy, their tank, which is the same price but better, literally goes 853, right? So for some reason this has even better availability. But you shouldn't be bringing tanks at no vet anyway, so they are basically the same because you bring it at 1 vet or 2 vet, right? The other one, the Raven now flies higher. The price is still the same, but it now flies higher, which will make it easier to kill. and this also applies to 101st Airborne. I'm not sure how much of a difference this makes. I still wouldn't bother bringing this over an actual seed aircraft that actually works, like the Weasel, because it actually fires seed missiles, even if the Shrike is really bad in this game. Yeah, and apart from that, 8th hasn't had that many changes. Apart from, you know, the so these things are much, well, these things are slightly more effective. They were already very effective, but now they're more effective. And these things had their range reduced, but you know, the splash went up and the mortar splashes went up. And the M270 has less minimum range, but less maximum range as well. The next US div, 9th US Infantry. So these guys, the grenade launcher nerfs are going to affect this div a lot because of how many grenade launchers they get, right? Basically all of these guys are coming in grenade launcher vehicles, so that will be a nerf to the division, which is generally seen as overperforming at the moment, but it also got some buffs. So we already spoke about the M60 buff, that also affects this division, right? 753, and this I believe the avail on this went up as well. As you can see, the Hellfire launcher also got one more at no vet, which affects this one. So you've now got one more Hellfire launcher. Generally, people don't vet this because what's the point? It's already got 70% accuracy. I think this thing's a bit too strong, mainly because it's got a 1 second aim time, whereas every single ground launched ATGM in the game has a 2.2 second aim time. It had another buff in the form of this thing. Used to have very, very low availability. Now that's gone up, so, well, a little bit. So it went from 0... What? Have I written that down wrong? No, I've not. It went from 0530 to 0640. So you got one more at both ranks of veterancy. The, this thing had its availability basically doubled. So it's now like this one, but better because you get one more. You're paying 10 points more, right? But I mean, it's got a very good gun on it. It's got the Cobra gun on it. So, and you get one more. So this is now a pointless card. You might as well just always bring this. And then you've got the this thing, the sort of the Toad Chaparral. This came down by 5 points. It used to be 90, now it's 85. And yeah, so these got a bit better. This got better. I'm not sure if this was really necessary, but it has got better. Oh yeah, also the Copperhead round. So you now get 2 of these in one card at no vet, or one at one vet. So this is actually huge. This is actually a big change because before I was bringing 2 like this, but now I can save myself, and because you know I also have the mortars for smoke, and I'm bringing this thing. Oh, this has been changed. This wasn't actually on my notes. The salvo length has increased from 1 to 2. So before, this thing was firing once, and then the unit was surviving and running away. But now it fires both rockets at once, which makes it a lot more effective, actually. A lot more effective. So now you can bring 2 of these, like this RT tab just got a lot better, right? Because you basically save 2 AP, because before I was bringing 2 of these, right? So I could get 2, but now I can get 2 at no vet. So that's a big buff, actually. So this div's actually been buffed quite a bit, but the grenade launchers have been brought into line a little bit. So we'll see what effect that has. Next div, 11th US. Basically, no changes which haven't already been discussed. They don't get grenade launchers, so that doesn't really matter. It's also worth noting that the West German Paladin has the 24 kilometers range, whereas the American Paladin, because it's got a different gun on it, you see. This is an FH70, which looks a bit beefier than this one. So, well, it looks like they just moved this backwards. Anyway, apparently that gives you 6 kilometers extra range. So 11th ACAV gets now better Paladins because the suppression and the splash has been buffed, and the range stayed the same on these ones. So this is well worth those extra points. Well worth those extra points. And of course, mortars got better, which helps this division. think that's it for this division. Oh yeah, oh, never mind, that's not this div. Yeah, so that's it for this div. 24th US, no changes. Sorry, 24th bros, apart from the ones we've already described. So the M270 HE will now shoot at closer range, which can be useful. You can get it really close and then do a very tight dispersion hit on that. The mortars are better, right? The paladins, more splash, less range. So that's it for 24th. Wow, I'm flying through them today. It's because I've done the prep work beforehand. So yeah, if you appreciate me doing the prep work, please let me know. 35th Infantry. So this guy's been underperforming quite a bit. So there's quite a lot of changes here. So basically, the National Guard M60s had their availabilities go up. So this one had its availabilities go from 7.5 to 8.5. It's a small change. I mean, really, you'd be bringing it at 1 vet anyway, so that's not a big deal. The M60A1 Rise went from 8.5 back to 9.6. So that is one you'll feel more because that's like 3 extra tanks at 1 vet, which is pretty significant. Yeah, so you'll definitely feel that one, so that's a nice buff. National Guard Rifles Law. Oh, this also applies to 9th US. Oh, I forgot about that. I'll have to go back and do an edit there. You'll probably have already seen it. The National Guard Rifles Law had their availability go from 9.6 to 12.9. I wrote it down wrong. It's actually gone to 12.8. I wrote it down wrong there. Anyway, you get 2 extra at 1 vet, and you get 3 extra at no vet, so that's a nice change. The National Guard ITO had its availability go from 5 at no vet to from 4 at no vet to 5 at no vet. I don't know what this was before, if it still went 4-3. Either way, you generally don't upvet these, so now you've got an extra ITO, so that's nice. National Guard Scout Dragon had its availability go from 4.3 to 6.4, so that's a reasonably good change. So now you get extra dragons, right? You either get 2 more or 1 more, depending on what vet you're bringing them at, so that's a nice change. The grenade launcher gunship was nerfed because this is a grenade launcher and it was nerfed in line with all the other grenade launchers. I believe this is the same. I've got a bit of an error in my notes here. It says that it got 2 extra bombs. I thought it had 2 extra bombs before. Maybe I'm wrong. So those are some nice limited buffs for 35th US Infantry. I know a lot of people have been asking for those. So yeah, you get some extra tanks, you get some extra infantry, right? You get quite a bit of extra infantry now with that change. So that's nice. 82nd Airborne has had a lot of changes, a lot of buffs. So the Recon Sheridan has gone from 100 down to 80, and it's had its availability go up. So you get either 6 of them at 1 vet as opposed to 4, or you get 4 of them at 2 vet as opposed to 2. So that's a really big increase, actually. The Sheridan CV had its price go from 130 to 100, and the regular Sheridan had its price go from 100 down to 80, and its availability increased from 0640 to 0850. So generally you bring things at 1 vet, so you get 2 extra Sheridans per card, and they cost 20 points less, and the CV one is 30 points less, and the Recon ones, you get 2 extra per card, and the price went down by 20 points. I'm not sure why the Recon one's the same price. Oh, because it doesn't have the ATGM, right? But yeah, that's a big buff, and there's more. Regular Airborne had their price go from 70 to 65. This was overpriced, really, and that's a nice change, right? I'm not sure why this one's a... Yeah, I mean, this one is still more expensive and less available, but it's got a Dragon 2, which is quite... Well, I don't know. I mean, I feel like this should probably be 5 points cheaper as well. Who knows? Do let me know what you think in the comments. I do read them all. I'm sorry I don't reply as often anymore. I'm just a very busy guy, and I get 1,400 comments a month. Let's say it takes me 20 seconds to reply to every comment. 1,400 times by 20. That's in seconds, divided by 60 to get minutes, divided by 60 to get hours, is 8 hours of just answering comments at a rate of 1 per 20 seconds, which is a lot, so I apologise I don't reply to them so much anymore. Once I sort this out, hopefully, my PhD, etc., hopefully I'll be able to, we'll see. And yeah, this unit also gets grenade launchers, right, and the grenade launchers got nerfed a little bit. So you will feel that. So yeah, that's 82nd Airborne, some nice buffs there. 101st Airborne. So the light howitzers, right, they get better availability, just like 82nd Airborne. So that's cool. The mortars have more splash and stuff, but yeah, you can now get like 3 of these at 2 vet, and they're a little bit better than they used to be, so that's nice. The Toad Pivads is no longer targetable by ATGMs, which will be very useful for you. And, well, okay, maybe this unit might now be worth bringing. And the M247 Mule had its availability go up from 0640 to 0850. So that's a nice buff. This might be worth bringing now, right? You get a lot more of them. It provides some necessary direct fire support for this division, which doesn't really get any. So yeah, this is your direct fire support now. You can get 8 of those, which is very, very useful. Right, so that's the Americans. Let's talk about the West Germans. This will be a bit faster. So, 2nd Panzer Division. The Lars, you can't vet it anymore. This thing is better now because it kept its old range and it's got the better splash. This thing is better now because it's got better splash and better suppression. The mortars are better now. This is in team games. This is an anti-spam div, so you benefit from those changes. Apart from that, I couldn't find any other changes. So you've escaped. You've made it, because usually that div gets nerfed. 5th Panzer Division, exactly the same. So the Lars, the Mars, this matters as well. So this is the cluster one, right? I think. So it's got its minimum range went down, but its maximum range went down. So that should be easier to use now. And you get the good paladin. So your artillery's better. Towed guns. Somebody might bring this. I don't recommend it. Don't bring that. But whoever was bringing it, it's now better. So that's a big change. TKS also benefits a lot from towed guns no longer being hittable by ATGMs because there's lots of towed guns. Like this actually might be really good for this div because you can get quite a lot of these. The other change, so the Kanj PZ, this thing was useless at 50 points and now it's 40 points, so you might see people bringing it now. Basically, the problem I have with this division is that these are too expensive, really, for what they are. They've got the Reservist trait, which makes them really much worse, but people don't notice because it's not displayed on the stat card. And yeah, so you've got quite strong forward deploy, but then you just can't back it up with anything, right? The planes got nerfed a long time ago, so you can't really do your plane spam anymore. You used to be able to get 2 cards of this, now you will get 1, etc., etc. So yeah, that's TKS. It got a nice buff on the Kanj PZ, and it benefits from the Toad changes and the artillery changes, right? Because this is better now, this is better now, this is better now, this is better now, and these are better now. So that's it for the West Germans. Let's talk about the Brits. So first UK Armoured had some buffs. Terrier Paras Carl Gustav used to have really, really low availability for no good reason. So they went from 0530 to... they went from 5300 to 640. So you can get 1 more at 1 vet, or 1 more at no vet. So that's a nice change. Challenger Mark II's got a good buff. Basically, these things... because of the tank rework, which happened ages ago, they basically became medium tanks, except they still had heavy tank availability. So the availability's come down to be more in line with the Abrams, the base M1 Abrams, which is pretty similar to this. So it's now 5-3-2, whereas before it was 4-2-1. So you can now bring the same amount of Challenger Mark IIs, but at veteran as opposed to at trained, which is a pretty big deal actually. For first UK, it doesn't really matter because you don't bring them anyway. Although maybe you should now. But yeah, generally I wasn't bringing them anyway. I was doing something more like this, something like that, right? But now, yeah, now that the availability's gone up, this is going to be a very worthy tank. The chieftains get less ammo. I'm not sure if this is neither here nor there, really. They used to have like 60-something rounds, now they have 53. That means that the supply cost of fulfilling the whole weapon will go down. I've never seen a chieftain run out of ammo, so I'm not sure you're really going to notice. But you will notice if you put a supply vehicle next to one of these things to repair it, it should now not vanish because of the ammo. Or it will do so less. Actually, I suppose it wouldn't make a difference, because if you fired 3 shots, you fired 3 shots, and it would refill 3 shots. So yeah, you're not going to notice. The Paladins, right, so the range of this went down, unlike the West German one. This is more in common with the American one, so the range went down, but the splash went up. Abbots are a little bit better now because of the splash changes, but I still think they're just not worth it. 81mm mortars had their splash increased a little bit, which is nice. Second, UK infantry. So these guys, they benefit a lot more from the challenger change because now you get 6 challengers instead of 4, or you well, okay, now you get 8 challengers instead of 6, or you can still get 6 challengers, and now these are coming at 1 extra veterancy, which makes them a lot more capable. I think this div is already S tier, and that's a really good change for this div, because this was basically their main weakness, and now that's not there anymore. So yeah, that's I can understand changing the Challenger as a card in isolation, but when you look at this div, it's already very strong, and now it's very, very strong. So another thing, the Wombat was basically useless before. It used to be 45 points, now it's 35 points. It's still kind of bad. I still won't be bringing it on this division. Seems to have something floating there. Do you see that? It's like right there. It's not a big deal, but anyway. So yeah, this is now 10 points cheaper. Oh, and yeah, Toad Arty. So these now go 4-3-2. I still don't really recommend bringing them. I think like this is good. I personally used to run it like this, but recently I took this one out. It is really good, especially given that minimum dispersion dispersal change. It's just very difficult to keep all your units supplied. Like, this drains quite a lot of supply over the course of the game, and this drains a huge amount of supply over the course of the game, so you can't really fire it if you want to keep all your other stuff supplied. So, fourth Armoured. Fourth Armoured had some reasonable buffs. So the Chieftain Mark 6-2 now comes with 2 cards. So that's a nice buff for the Chieftain Mark 6-2, if anybody was bringing that. I don't know, I think it's at a weird price point. Like, you can bring it, no problem. And now you can bring a lot of it. But, so if it's cheap, you know, if I want cheap stuff, I bring this. And if I want, slightly better stuff, I bring this. Whereas the 100 kind of sits at a weird place. To be honest, it's pretty decent against IFVs, except it's not, because you need 17 to one-shot a 3-armor vehicle, and it does 60 in pen. And it doesn't have, it's got like basically the minimum range tank gun. It can survive a TOW 2 hit, which is a pretty big deal, actually. But yeah, I don't know. I'd rather pay 40 more points for more range, more pen, more accuracy at the same range, But 40 points is a lot. So, enjoyers of the Chieftain Mark 6-2 will be happy. Mott rifles came down by 5 points. So this was a bit of a... I agree with this change, basically. But basically, yeah, this was... It's like 9 strength, Carl Gustav for 50 points, whereas these guys got a lore 80, and they were the same price, but with 1 less man. Now, Mott rifles is a much better proposition because they're 5 points less. And, you know, they come in Saxons, which is nice and fast. Their RPG is worse. So I'd probably be running one of each, which is what I was doing before, actually. But now, you know, you save... I bring them at 1 vet. You should always be bringing your infantry at 1 vet if you can. Obviously, with the Terries, you can't. Didn't this used to have its own transport? Some sort of Saracen thing. Am I making that up? Maybe it's only on 2nd UK. Definitely used to. Oh, okay, so it's only on 2nd UK. Okay. Sure. Yeah. It's a shame that's not on 4th UK, actually. I wonder why. I wonder if that's intentional. Anyway, the Wombat got cheaper, so that helps 4th UK players. And the Wombat vehicle got cheaper by 5 points. So this is now a 10 point per purchase cheaper thing, which will save you 60 points in the card. I would be bringing these at no vet because, you know, it's either fighting or it's dead. You don't have to worry about suppression. It's only got 2 HP. There was a big nerf, which I think is just a bug. This had its supply go down from 1,000 to 600, and the number of cards increase, but they didn't change the price. So if you compare this to the M113A1, okay, yeah, like this one. So basically, the FV432 cargo should be 25 points, because it's carrying the same amount of supply, but sadly it's 40. And I'm pretty sure if you want 3 cards of supply, you have to bring it. No, you can get away with not bringing it, actually. I would not bring this patch until they fix that. That's not a good change. But overall, big buffs for 4th UK, which definitely deserve them. I think there should be more, but, you know, we'll see. Next, MBAD. MBAD had some pretty substantial buffs, and it definitely needed them. First things first, so the Parascorpion had its availability go up from 9.6 to 12.8, so you now get 12 of these. The Scimitar also had its availability go up from 9.6 to 12.8, so you get 12 of these as well. The Weasel Mark 20 had its availability go up from 9.6 to 12.8, so you get more of these as well. The Weasel Toe 2 had its price go down by 10 points, but it had its HP go down by 4 points. Because this was at 10 for some reason, even though this was at 6. So they brought the price down, but they lowered the HP. It's very good. It's a shame these don't have smoke on them, you know? What was Germany thinking? Anyway, 10 points cheaper, you know? So nice buffs to this tab. Really nice buffs to this tab. The AA tab got better as well. The Cracker 20mm went from 6.4 to 8.5. No, it didn't. I must have misread it. That's weird. The ATMP LML went from 6.4 to 8.5. I just made a mistake there. Sorry about that. That's weird. I must have misread it. So that's an increase, right? You get more of these. I'd be leaving this at 1 bet anyway, which means that you get 2 more. The Gurkha rifles got cheaper, which is a big deal. So these were 100, which was just stupid, really. And now they are 85. So now you can actually buy them. So that's a nice buff. Para Gun Group got 5 points cheaper. These were 55 before, now they're 50. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, they're only 6 men. They shouldn't have been 55. So they're cheaper now, right? So you can load up that plate. Paras got cheaper. These were 70, which was too expensive for what they were. Now they're 65, so that's nice. The Unimog Logi truck got faster. So that's nice. It was 50 before, now it's 65. And the Buccaneer Seed got 10% more ECM. For some reason it had 30% ECM, which was really, really low. Now it's 40, so that's nice. And the, you know, AA guns are no longer targetable by ATGMs. which... Oh, hang on, this is a vehicle. Nobody's driving it. Whatever. This will still be targetable by ATGMs, but the towed ones won't, right? So the Skyguard in particular will benefit from this a lot, given that it's basically a Gepard but towed. I'll be honest, I don't understand. Like, so it costs 80 points because you've got to keep the truck with it. So why is it... why... but a regular Gepard is 80 points. So that's worth talking about. But hey, whatever. At least it can't be targeted by ATGMs anymore. But yeah, basically it's the same, right? I mean, the gun's the same. It can't shoot on the move. It's not got armor, right? It's a lot slower. And with the transport, it's the same price. So it should probably be a bit cheaper. But depends how much it's worth to you. But hey, those were some really good buffs for MBAD, right? I mean, oh yeah, this thing benefits from the radii of small mortars getting slightly better, the cluster mortar, and of course you've got towed guns, so you get more availability on these towed guns. These are mortars obviously, and mortars benefit a bit more. So sadly, 105s are still kind of garbage, but at least you get 3-2 there now, and they're very slightly better. So that's a nice buff for MBAD. But yeah, the main thing is this tab here. Everything here got better. Everything there got better. Right, you get more of them. And you get more of this, right? And your infantry got a bit cheaper. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. Man, how many machine guns can you bring us? Did this get cheaper? I don't think it did. The availability on this might have changed, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't think it did. So yeah, those are some nice buffs. Berlin Command, we'll class it as Britain, even though it really isn't. These guys, they benefit from the Wombat change. So this Wombat got cheaper, right? The Rover Wombat got more availability. It went from 642 to 853, so that's nice. And the FV432 Raden got 5 points cheaper, which is a pretty big deal. I mean, this is supposed to be a direct fire support, and nobody brings it because of how expensive it is. I kind of wish it was 30, but hey, at least it's not 40 anymore, so that's a nice change. So that's Berlin Command. Let's move on to France. France. 5 easy, no changes, sadly. I wish this division was nerfed. I think it's very, very strong. It will benefit from the changes to howitzers, right? Because this keeps its old range. I think the suppression's gone up, I'm not 100% sure. But the splash radius has increased a little bit, and I think the suppression's gone up a little bit. So it's going to benefit, actually. It's been buffed. And of course the mortars it'll benefit from as well. 11 easy. When we find it. So, basically, the only changes here are the ones which have happened to everybody else. So you get more availability on this. The radii of mortars have gone up a little bit. So that's a buff, right? And the towed AA guns, like these, are no longer targetable by ATGMs, which could be useful. Maybe they're worth bringing now. I mean, it's only 30 points, might be worth bringing now. 152 easy, sadly no changes this time, apart from what has already been described. So basically, your howitzers are a little bit better, your towed guns get better availability, and a little bit better splash, and the mortars get a little bit better, stuff like that. So that's it for 152 easy. Moving on to Belgium, only one Belgium div, the 16th. Some big change, well, lots of small changes here. So there's been some buffs to like the Logi trucks. One of these got faster. I think it was this one. It used to be 50, now it's 65. And or it was 40 and now it's 65. So that's a pretty big difference. And it also used to have 5 HP and now it has 8. So that's a pretty significant change, actually. Both of those put together. You probably won't notice it, but it'll help you get your stuff there and it'll be more survivable, right? Big change, minstrels now come at 2 cards. Before you were only getting 6 minstrels and then you were dying. Now you get 12, which is very, very useful. your towed gun is no longer shootable by the ground, so maybe it'll be useful. I think this thing is like, hang on. Oh yeah, this used to have 5 HP as well. Now that's gone up to 8. So there you go. That's nice, isn't it? I think it was actually that one and not this one. They've got similar names, so I just got confused looking at my notes. The infantry type got some buffs. So Pioneers RL-AE3 got a little bit cheaper. They went from 55 to 50. So they might be worth bringing now. We'll see. The IB50 got 5 points cheaper, went from 30 to 25. That'll help you a lot if you bring it. And this thing got cheaper by 5 points, which is a pretty more substantial change because people tend to bring this more often. The blimey, the stabilizer accuracy went from 69, went from like it was like 50% before. Now it's 9. Well, that's a big shame. It basically offsets the buff to the price. It's basically not got a stabilizer anymore. Well, I'm not happy about that. Anyway, I mean, who's firing it on the move anyway, right? It's a big shame, actually. I mean, it's just basically just had its stabilizer taken off it. Wait, hang on, what? Now it's 30. Now it's 9. It definitely went down, right? It used to be a lot higher than that, but whatever. I'm not sure how that works, to tell you the truth. I mean, you should be bringing it one bit anyway. Regardless, the stabilizer's gotten a lot worse. But yeah, you will now save... Like, if you're bringing all 3 of these, I usually bring 2. So you're saving 7 times 5 is 35. You're saving 70 points over the course of all of these. So it's a limited change. Then you're saving, you know, another 25 points there. Yeah, I think that's... Oh, yeah. The JPK90 went from 60 points to 50. So this thing is sort of like the TKS one, except slightly better. And now it's 50 points instead of 60. So maybe somebody will bring this. I mean, it could be useful. I mean, 13 pen is not very good. And you've got... If you want to shoot infantry, you just bring this. But you don't move it. And if you want to bring, you know, shoot at IFBs and stuff, you'd be bringing these anyway. So, yeah, the main change is the second card of minstrels. That's probably the biggest one, and small savings on the infantry. It's a damn shame about those stabilizers, but what can you do, eh? Next div, 4th Dutch. So we've already sort of covered this a little bit in that it now gets the iHawk, which is the biggest thing. Just to recap, all of the tanks except 1 card, so only 2 tanks, because you should be bringing them at 1 vet. All the tanks have 16 armor, which means they die in 1 hit to a 30 AP missile. But now you get the iHawks, which is a pretty substantial change. And so you can now use the iHawk to save your tanks. So you can actually do something about it now. Because unlike the Belgians, right, if you lose a Leopard 1 as the Belgians, doesn't really matter. If you kill the plane especially, it's great news. That's fine. Yeah, so that's good. Whereas if you lose stuff as the Dutch, it's kind of a big deal because your tanks are 250 points, right? Oh, that's not it. That's not it. There's loads more stuff. So these guys have the same autocannons things as the Belgians. So sadly, yes, the stabilizer became useless, basically been removed. But yeah, it's 5 points cheaper, which is nice. I don't believe it. I had my first cut this video, and it was because I ran out of hard drive space. So I'm not sure how much of that I missed, but basically, yeah, the autocannon thing became 5 points cheaper. Sadly, the stabilizer got a lot worse, which is a big shame. I mean, I honestly would be making this 5 points cheaper again, given that that's the case. I think it's a dying shame. If you just compare it to, like, the Warrior now has a better stabilizer than the... Well, actually, to be honest, yeah, obviously the YPR's better because the autocannon is better, even if the stabilizer's worse for some reason. But yeah, it's got less armor. I don't know. I think that'd probably be decent at 40 points, but I'm not. Well, I don't know, because the armor's worse, but the gun's better. But the stabilizer. The crying shame. But yeah, the gun is a lot better. I mean, I know the HE is less, but the pen's a lot higher, and that matters a lot. Also, the rate of fire is higher. Anyway, this one came down by 5 points as well. It's just the Belgian one again, so that came down by 5 points. 2, some of their infantry got cheaper as well, so the Panzer Inf Law came down by 5 points. So these guys are now 35, which means you actually save 10 points per purchase on this card. I think these guys are still 45 here. It's kind of weird that these are 35 when... Anyway, the Panzerinf Dragon went from 55 to 40, so this is a much bigger change. So you're saving 15 points there and 5 points on the transport, so that's 20 points per purchase. So this might actually be worth bringing now at 40 points. I mean, the Dragon one is not great, but it's better than a Law, right? So that's a nice change there. The Leopard 1 NL did get nerfed because this is a stat clone of... yeah, the last thing is like, this lost some side armor. It used to have like 2 front armor, 2 side armor, now it's 1. But yeah, the Leopard 1 NL was just a stat clone of an already existing Leopard, the Leopard 1A1. Which is a shame. I think they should be slightly different, but yeah, basically it was 10 points cheaper for some reason, so that got fixed. But you know, the fact that the iHawk got added, I think, is going to propel this division right into the A tier or even the S tier, probably the A tier. So that's it for the NATO divs. Once again, please like the video if you made it this far. Consider joining as a generous channel joiner, but I'll shut up now. Let's talk about PACT. So the biggest change to PACT, which I already covered in the highlights, is that all the MLRS numbers were reduced from 2 per card to 1 per card. So, you know, you can still bring 2 cards minimum. So a bunch of divs had their card numbers go up. 25th, 39, 79, 7th Panzer Division, East German. They all had their card numbers go up so that they can bring a minimum of 2 grads, but it's only 1 per card, which is a change I completely agree with. I think this will fix 10v10 basically. And this doesn't apply to the half grads. The BM21V grads, something like that, BMV, whatever. Just believe me, bro. It's this thing. This thing still comes at 2 per card. Some T-72s had their price go up, but not that much. And also all Grom... So all BMP-1s had their gun get better, because their gun now matches the stats of the SPG-9, because it fires the same ammo, basically, but before it was worse. It still goes further, which is interesting. But yeah, they had their HE radius increased from 13 to 14, so it'll deal more damage on misses. The suppression went from 99 to 110, and the suppression radius went from 31 meters to 38 meters. So that's it for general changes. Now we'll go tab by tab. So first one, 6YA. The biggest change you'll notice is that the BMP-1 guns are now better, and you bring 10 of those minimum. Well, okay, you bring a lot more than that. So yeah, your BMP-1 guns are slightly better, which will benefit this div a lot. The fact that the grads went to 1 per card now makes the Eurogun better, because it's also 1 per card, which it was before. It looks like this Toad gun didn't get better. Oh, it's 152mm, so of course it wouldn't. So yeah, that's it for 6YA, really. Next div, 25 Soviet. So I basically already covered this a little bit already. So BMP-1 guns are all better. Not that you were bringing those anyway, because you get the BMP-2s, but yeah, your guns are a little bit better on your BMP-1s, if you're bringing them. I mean, are you? And your grads, you got a second card of grads, but your grad is no longer 2 per card. So a small buff and a small, well, okay, pretty big buff. 27Y. So these guys had a similar treatment to 9th US Infantry in that the laser-guided Acacia you can now bring at 2 per card, which is big news. So this might actually be worth bringing now, whereas before it was just a detriment because, you know, it's got less range, so unguided it deals less damage, right? But now that you can bring 2 of them at no vet, there's probably more places you can use that. The, you know, the Grads, you used to get 4, now you get 2. So that is a nerf. BMP 1 gun got better, but who's bringing BMP 1 on 27Y? 35Y VDV. So these guys actually got buffed. I think I didn't save my document because I could have sworn I wrote that up. And oh, I opened the wrong document. Yeah, that'll explain it. So I can now show you what the grenade launcher... I was going to say, I could sort of... Right, so this is the AGS-17 nerfs, and this is the Mark 19 grenade launcher nerfs. And this is... I wrote this up myself, right? So, yeah, DMRs make less noise, small arms make more noise, building stealth multiplier from 3.5 to 3, forest stealth from 2.5 to 3, ATGMs from buildings are going to be less annoying, but ATGMs from forests are going to be more annoying. All optics except mediocre and normal got better, so that should help mitigate the forest thing. And the AGS-17, yeah, its suppression has gone from 60 to 30. It's like a 35mm round as opposed to a... it's a 30mm as opposed to a 40mm, so obviously it's not going to deal as much. And the radius went from 40 to 30, and the HE radius stayed the same at 30. So these actually have the same HE radius, it's just this one has less suppression radius. So they actually deal a similar amount of damage, although I think actually the HE here is different. I think it's 0.8 for the 40mm. But yeah, 35Y had some buffs in that... I just realised I don't have RuneScape open. That's a shame. I should have had RuneScape open. That's a big shame, actually. Let's have a look. 35Y. The Descent UAZ got its availability increased from 0640 to 0850. I don't agree with this at all. I thought this div was really good already. And the Soviet BRDM2 Conquers speed, which also applies to 6YA, which I already covered. I'm molding, dude. I opened the wrong version of my own document. I spent all that time doing the prep work, and I opened the wrong version. So now people who only watch the 6YA one and then close the video won't know that their BRDM2 Conquers got significantly faster from 65 to 85 kilometers an hour, and that affects all these divisions here. So yeah, this div actually got buffed, which just shouldn't have done, although I am a fan of the grenade launchers getting worse because this was just so abusable. It was really, really annoying to fight into legit 24 grenade launchers, even more. So grenade launchers getting nerfed a bit, I'm a big fan of in this case. And apart from that, you know, obviously your towed guns don't get hit anymore. Your towed howitzers are a little bit better. Your Vasilek got buffed a little bit, so maybe it's good now. And your half-grads still come at... although you can't vet it anymore, which is a shame. Your half-grads still come at 2 per card. And the radius on this got a bit better as well. So overall, this div's been buffed, and this div is already too strong. So next one, I'm sure Cuff will be happy. Current rank 1. All this guy does is play 35Y. Every time I've seen him. I think he might have switched into 9th US. Whatever. If you want to be on the top, you got to play the broken divs. I don't blame him. So, 39th. 39th got a second card of Grads. It was only 1 card before, but now it might actually just be worth bringing the Jurgens instead. Which is good, because this unit was useless, and now it's useful, which is nice. Splash increased on these. The range remains the same. You know, these guns might be a little bit more useful now. All your RT got better apart from the Grad, of course. Your BRDM2 is faster now, which is going to be big for you. The UAZ AGS-17. Is anybody bringing this? this had its availability go down. It was 854, now it's 853, but the price went down by 5 points. The UAZ SPG-9 also had its availability go up from, 642 or something to 853. So yeah, you're getting, this is pretty significant actually. Wow. To be honest, you don't really want to be up there in these anyway. So there you go. You can now get more of those. Wow, you can bring a lot of grenade launchers on this division. The Grad nerf doesn't affect you because you should now be bringing the Rugener anyway. So that's big changes to 39Y. 56Y. So this div is absolutely broken. Best div in the game right now. Had some very limited nerfs. So the Dush RPG-7 has gone up in price by 5 points. I mean, this already had a DMR, so it shouldn't have been 40. Sadly, this is still 40. I would have liked this to have been 45 because it's got a 1,025 meter grenade launcher for 40 points. It's like super arm rifles. But yeah, you get a lot of BMP2s on this division. You know, you're paying 5 points more for 14 of them or whatever. Who cares? You're not going to notice, really. You got a second card of Grads. These are still coming at 1 vet. Don't really agree with that, but there you go. The cluster mortar had its reload time nerfed. It went up to 60 seconds. It was like 30 before, but it comes at 1 vet anyway. So it's still going to be pretty low because, yeah, you should have it at 2 vet because you bring 2 and then you put CV next to it. So it's still 36 seconds. So still probably too strong. This AT plane was coming at 3 availability per card for like no good reason. It's now coming at 2 availability per card, like all other good AT planes. So that's a good change. But overall, that div has not been hit as hard as I would personally whack it if I was in charge. 76Y VDV, so these guys got some nerfs as well. So this used to come at 3 per card for no good reason, now it's 2 per card. This used to come at 3 per card for no good reason, now it's 2 per card. The Luaz SPG-9 actually got buffed, you now get more of these. I don't really understand why the availability on all these recoilless rifle jeeps went up, especially the airborne ones, which are generally really annoying. But whatever. They went from 0640 to 0850, so you get more, right? And this thing is now faster. Great. 79Y tank division. So this is basically things we've already mentioned. So the this thing had its availability go down a little bit, but its price went down by 5 points. And who's bringing it to the anyway? Basically, it was going 854 before, now it's 853. But yeah, it got 5 points cheaper, and the weapon itself has been nerfed a little bit, right? Grenade launcher nerfs. Grads, you got second card of Grads because it was before it was 1 card of 2 Grads, now it's 2 cards of 1 Grad. The rest of your artillery's gotten better. There was something else. The BRDM2 Conkers, which you get loads of, is now 20 kilometers an hour faster. So this div overall buffed. Obviously the Grad changes hurt, right? 119Y. So this div, a bit weak at the moment. It's had no changes apart from the ones which have already been mentioned elsewhere. So, you know, your artillery is your Vaslite might be slightly better now, right? Your artillery splash has increased, which will make this better. And your BRDM2 Conkers, they are faster now. Let's talk about East Germany. So East Germany has had quite a few changes, actually. So 4th Marschützen, this MiG-23 AA now comes at 3 per card, 3-2. Before it was 2-1. So now, basically, you've got a rank of vet for free. This is a very cost-efficient plane, which is, you know, interesting. Oh, okay. I was going to say, wasn't that 7.7 before, but no, it's not. It's different. And then, right, and then MiG-29. So that... Oh, it's an R-27. Ah, okay. Yeah, so this got buffed, right? You get one more, or you get one more vet, which is nice. So now, you know, your fighter squadron is much... is quite a bit stronger. UAZ SPG-9s had their availability go up. I really don't understand why this was done, to be honest. But there you go. And the MLRS changed, so now you get, you know, you only get 2 ARM-70s instead of 4. Oh no. But yeah, the rest of your RT now deals stronger splash. The range was not changed on the Acacias, so they're dealing stronger splash. 7th Panzer Division. So, this benefits from this plane. No, this is a different plane. My bad. This was already 3 per card, right? So I don't think that's really changed anything. The KPZ T72M1 had its price go up from 160 to 175. This was more because of a 9th Panzer Division, but these guys got caught in the back blast. The T1813 munitions. Oh, this should be in 4th as well. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Basically, this thing got 10 kilometers an hour slower, and it now rotates slower. Don't think you'll really notice it. The UAZ SPG-9 had its availability increased, as we spoke about, and it got a second card of RM70s. It used to just have 1 at 2. 2 availability, 1 card. Now it's 2 cards, 1 availability. 9th Panzer Division. So this artillery lost 1 rank of veterancy. It was getting 1 rank of vet for free for some reason. So now it's going to reload slower and aim slower. You should be putting a CV next to it anyway, so now it's coming at 1 vet as opposed to 2 vet when you put that CV next to it. So yeah, you lose some reload time and some aim time. I mean, it's a very, very limited nerf. It's not really a big deal if you... Well, to be honest, shooting 20% slower than normal, because you got to spend 20% time reloading, is a change. So yeah, this unit needed nerfing anyway. I think this div's really stupid, to be honest. It actually got a buff in that this didn't used to have Resolute, and now it does, so now it's a Resolute warrior. I'm not sure how much difference that's going to make, really, but... the T72M1 got 15 points more expensive, so this div gets quite a lot of those. Yeah. And the... This got better. It had a problem where the turret wasn't turning properly. It was more of a bug, and they fixed it, so this is now stronger. Basically, the whole thing was turning before, and now just the turret will turn, so that's a big buff for an already very, very good tank. 21 pen at 2,800 meters range. Like, what? Why is this 245 points? T72S. Leopard 2A3. So not only will it survive an AT missile, it's just got a super good ATGM. Like, what do you need the tank gun for if you're slinging 21 pen ATGMs, people? And it's got Resolute, and it's got more armor. It is slower. But yeah, I think that ATGM should be making that more expensive, to tell you the truth, than it is. It's also got better anti-infantry capability. It's got more side armor, which means, actually, I think that means it'll survive LOR 80 rounds, whereas the Leopard 2 won't, on the side. But yeah, the regular gun is worse, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a very... It's quite cheap for what it is. And the munitions truck had its... No, hang on, that's a different munitions truck. This munitions truck actually got buffed. It went from 75 to 85, and the road speed went up to 100. So this div actually got buffed. I mean, this tank got 15. So to be honest, I mean, that is... Because, yeah, you should be bringing it at 1 vet, so that's 12 times 15. Which is quite a bit actually. 12 times 15, so that's 180 points nerf. This got better though. Your logic truck got better. This did get worse as well. So yeah, so some nerfs for this div, but this thing now comes at 3 availability per card. I don't understand why they cost the same on one's better. To be honest, this is a ridiculously effective plane. 165 for all that. Crazy. Anyway, not sure why they cost the same on one's better, but yeah, another buff here because you got one more fighter, right? I mean, this div is so stupid. Just do everything. Just do everything. Anyway, let's move on before we get upset. KDA. So KDA benefits from this thing having one more availability. Benefits quite a lot from that actually because now you get 6 fighters instead of 4, or you can just bring 1 card and get 3, which is an important distinction because before you only had 2, right? So that's a nice buff. The UAZ SPG-9 got buffed, its availability went up, so you can be more annoying now. And this thing, which is also in 56Y and 25Y, and I forgot to mention it, has a 30mm grenade launcher on it. It's this one here, and that has been nerfed because grenade launchers got nerfed. So yeah, KDA, not too many changes, but this fighter change is a pretty nice buff, actually, for 3 East German divisions. Berlin Red got buffed. Oh, mate, that's my alarm. Oh, I'll just do an edit here. I'd left my phone somewhere. Sorry about that edit there, guys. What I wanted to talk to you about is Berlin Red. They've had a pretty big buff, actually. So the grenade launcher UAZ AGS got a lot cheaper. This was 50 points before, now it's 35. So this card is probably really worth bringing because that is nice cheap infantry, nice cheap grenade launchers. Maybe it's worth bringing. The main change is to the tank slots and to the availability, right? So this is now all cheaper. This used to be 111 223. Now it's 111 22233. So you can bring way more tanks. Wow. For example, right? I mean, I wouldn't really be bringing it like that. I'd be bringing 2 cards of this, or yeah, something like that. Something like, to be honest, having 12 of these is a pretty big deal. But yeah, these. I mean, this doesn't shoot at infantry, which is a shame. But yeah, this is decent direct fire support. So yeah, now you can bring way more of that. The Inf tab also got cheaper as well. So these last 2 used to be 2 points and 3 points. Now it's all 1. So you can now bring a lot of Inf. You can bring a lot of Inf. A lot of Inf. A lot of Inf. Obviously, you could fill the tab before anyway. But now you can really get a lot of SPW 70s. I'm not sure why it's that way around on this one and this way around on that one. And, you can get all your Vakshutzen now. Yeah, all your Vakshutzen now, and you don't have to worry about those slot costs being too expensive. So you can really fill out your Inf tab for cheap. I believe this got its availability going up as well, so you can bring loads of those if you want. You might not want to build it like that, but basically you can fill out this whole tab, and you can fill out more of this tab. You don't, fill in this last one. It is 3 points, but yeah, you get way more of that. But where they giveth, they also taketh. So there used to be a 3rd slot here for AA, which, like it's actually kind of difficult to get that far, so it doesn't really matter. And the RT slots got nerfed a little as well, in that they used to be an extra one here, but and obviously, your grads have been nerfed, but I mean, it's really difficult to get all the way up there, right? So it doesn't really matter. And a heli slot got removed here. This used to have an extra 3-1 here, but like who was bringing all these helis, right? Obviously, I've sort of filled all this up now. So, but who was doing this? Do you know what I mean? You couldn't even fill it. You couldn't even fill it before. So why was it there? So yeah, big buffs for Berlin Red. Your infantry, you can fill out your whole infantry and your whole tank tab a lot cheaper now and still bring plenty of planes and Logi and all that other good stuff you need. So that's a nice big buff for them. Rugener. Rugener has had only changes which have already been described. So this had its availability go up. Your towed guns, your towed light howitzers got a bit better. You know, the splash on your mortars got a bit better. I think these are still the same. Was the Krug 3 per card before? I think it was. But yeah, this thing is better now. It can't be targeted by ATGMs. That's a pretty big deal, actually. You get quite a lot of these in this division. So yeah, now your towed guns can't be targeted by ATGMs, which will benefit you a lot. I think this can't either. Goofy looking guy. So there you go. Buffs to Rugener. Almost there. Last nation, last but not least, we've got Poland, or Britain too, as I like to call it. Fourth Zmek got some buffs. Got a buff. So basically they got a second card of this because, you know, they used to be bringing them at 2 per card now. Your towed light howitzers get better availability, splash radius on this, etc, etc. These things can't be targeted by ATGMs anymore, so that's a nice buff. There was a nerf too. This tank used to come at 3 availability at 2 vet, which was just weird. Now, like every other tank CV in the game, it comes at 2 availability at 1 vet, and then it can go up at 1 if you want. And the this thing got 1 more availability. So it went from 0320 to 0420. So you now get 4 of these in a card, which, yeah, I mean, that's an extra Malyutka, right? So why not? Like before, I wasn't bringing this because this, you just got so many more of them. But now that you get 1 more of these, you know, now I'm going to be potentially bringing both. So that's it for 4th Zmek. Oh, mate, did I save that? That's it for 4th Zmek. Let's look at 20th Pansera. So this had a bit of a nerf in that these got 10 points more expensive. They were 160, now they're 170. So that's going to cost you 80 points over those 2 cards. This tank CV used to come at 3 availability, just like the other one. Now it's 2. But the Dana got buffed. This thing is already very good, but basically for some reason it had tracked speed. Now it's got wheeled speed, and the splash on its gun has gone up quite a bit. So yeah, the Dana is very, very strong. This is the thing that makes this div so much better than the square. That and the fact that it gets proper tanks. So yeah, the Dana getting buffed is big. T72M1's getting nerfed a little bit. Oh well. Then we've got Donkey Kong. So, last but not least, we have the Polish Corpus Desantoi. Everybody calls it DK or Donkey Kong. This AA gun went up in price by 5 points because it was the same price as the one in 4th Square, but it's airborne, so it went up by 5. I don't know who's bringing this anyway, really. The way I run it is I bring a card of this and a card of this. That's it, I get 20 strollers. The PT76B got buffed, so this used to come 0-10-5-0, now it's 0-12-8-0. So you get, whoa. You know, you're getting 6 more at 2 there, which is not bad. The Descent UAZ SPG9 had its availability go up, so this goes 8-5 now, as opposed to 6-4 before. The Grad is now, you know, one per card. Honestly, if you were bringing two, if you were firing two Grads as this did before, I don't know what to tell you. This thing fires smoke, which it already did. The only problem was there was a bug where it would damage you if you stood in it. And now it doesn't do that, so that's nice. And who knows, maybe the Wasilok or the Vasilek is better now given the splash changes. I don't know if it's noticeable. And the this command, this is actually a pretty substantial nerf for this div because I used to bring this as well. This used to be 3 availability, now it's only 2. And that's it. So I hope you enjoyed sticking through that. I find these very laborious to make. So if it doesn't get loads of views, I'm not doing it again. I wish you a lovely day. I'm going to go edit this video now. I'll see you around.